Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm excited to share with you this new design I just made, and it is for little kids who are just learning how to play cards. In my family, we do play a lot of cards, and some of my favorite memories are playing pinochle with my grandparents when I was younger. And so with my son, we are starting out, of course, and he really struggles with holding his cards like this. And so I thought it would be cool to create a card holder, such as something like this, where he can hold it in his hand and still play with his other one, and he doesn't have to keep folding it out. So my design is 100% free, and it is on my Patreon page, which the link is attached in the description, and it will look like this design. So this is the basic design. It will be one pocket, and it will have the different suits right here. You can personalize this design like this one. So I have Oliver's name right here, and I'll show you how to do that. You can also erase these if you want and completely just design the front. It is totally up to you if you have, of course, embroidery software to do so. So one pocket, it is so cool. And what I love about this is it is perfect for both left and right-handed people. So let me show you how easy it is to make this design. This design is so easy to personalize. The side that you want to personalize is hoop 1. And to do this, you're going to just open up your file that you need to use in the program you have. I'm using Embroidery. And I just want to make a note about these symbols for the card suits. If you want to move them around, you can. I made them red, black, like that. I kept them separate so that you could move them all individually or get rid of them if you want to. So for example, I'm going to move mine down a little bit, just to give myself a little bit more space. So it's a little off center right there. Okay. And then I'm going to grab my letter tools right here, and I'm going to type in my son's name. All right. So I'm going to do that one. And I'm going to keep it in the center. In fact, I might actually capitalize all the letters. Let's see what that will look like. Oh, that is super cute. And then I'm actually going to space out the letters a bit and center it. It gives it this like gold rush, like old Western vibe. I really love it. Okay. And then I have plenty of space up here. Oh, it is beautiful. Absolutely wonderful. All right. I love it. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to take it to my machine and do the first stitch. This design does require 2 hoopings, and I'm using a 5x7 hoop, so this design will fit in that. And then make sure you use tearaway stabilizer. So I have my design in my machine, and I'm gonna run the first stitch, which is the placement stitch. This is what the placement stitch looks like. As you can see, it is a rectangle and then kind of this shield looking shape right here. And what I suggest you do is use faux leather for this hooping, because this is the back side of the card holder. And so I'm using this type of basket weave faux leather. On the other side, it's just felt. And you can cut it to size, meaning make sure that your piece of faux leather goes past this rectangle right here. So if you see it, goes just like that, and this is a perfect piece right here. Just cut it to size, and then take it to the machine and run the next stitch, which will tack it down. The next stitch is going to be the satin stitch for the heart, as you can see right there. So I am going to do a color thread change right now, and I'm going to put red in, and then I'll run the next stitch, which will do the satin stitch for the heart. Your machine will stop because it will ask you to do a color change. And I did that so that you could, if you feel like it, move them around. So I separated them by color stops, just so that it gives you more flexibility. But I do not want to put black in and then put red back in. So what I'm gonna do is go to my machine, and I'm going to jump ahead to the next stitch. And so I just do that with my machine. And so now you'll see it'll actually go to the diamond, and I'm gonna sew the diamond next. I am done with the thread, so I'm gonna now put my black thread in. And oopsie, I have to go back and move my stitch. As you can see, it wants to do the club next, but I have to still do the spade because I skipped ahead. So how I will do that is just go like this and go back to until I see the spade right there. And my next stitch will go back to that one that I skipped and stitch it out. All right, so my black thread is in, and I am ready to do that one skipped step. Now I need to do the club, so I'm gonna skip ahead and make sure that it shows the club in the preview. It does, and so I'm gonna stitch that one next. This, of course, step is absolutely optional. You don't have to do it. If you don't do it, it will look just like this, but I'm personalizing it. That's the beautiful thing about machine embroidery is you can personalize gifts. And so, of course, I'm putting Oliver's name right here. And I'm gonna actually use this blue. So I'm actually going to change my thread and stitch the next and final stitch for this hoop, which will be the personalization. We are finished with hoop one. So take it out of the hoop and tear away the stabilizer. I know it's hard to see. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay, so there's gonna be a rectangle that you're gonna follow with your ruler. So you're just gonna zoom back out real quick. You're going to line the ruler up with that stitch, just like so, and cut it with a rotary blade. Be very precise here. This piece is all done, so what I'm gonna do is just move it to the side, and I have already put tearaway stabilizer in my 5x7 hoop. I'm gonna take it to the machine and run the first stitch, which is the placement stitch. For the second hoop, I like to have my top thread match my bobbin thread because the last stitch will, the thread on the bottom will show through, and so I wanted to match my faux leather. And then I do like having this top thread be gold because I'm using this brown felt, and I like to have some of that contrast. I think it's really pretty. So I just put my bobbin thread in so that they're matching. Next, cut out a piece of batting. I prefer the low loft one. And this one might be a little, okay, so you need to have the batting go past this stitch right here. And I think I'm cut it too close. So I'm actually gonna go cut another piece because this will not do. Now I did it right. I actually used this piece as a guide to cut my batting. And so it is perfectly sized. Okay, so now I'm gonna take this to the machine and run the tack down stitch. This design uses many layers of fabric where it will be folded over, and so you do need to play around with the height of the needle. And so I want you to familiarize yourself with your machine if you have not already done so. So what I mean by that is I'm using my Spirit, and to increase the embroidery foot height, it's over here. And when I do the first stitch, which is the placement stitch, I usually go about 0.5 millimeters. And I do that because I want the stitches to be tight enough and to catch at the bottom. Well, I'm doing the batting now, so I'm actually gonna go back to what is usually the normal, which is 1.5 for this one. And I will keep playing around with this. I'll increase the height when we start to layer multiple fabrics together. Remove the hoop from your embroidery machine and carefully trim around the design
getting as close as possible without cutting the stitches.
Grab your piece of felt. I just have one piece of felt here. It is a 9 by 12 piece, and I'm going to use, you can eyeball it. So again, it needs to cover this stitch completely. I'm just going to use my first piece, and I'm just going to line it up right here and use a ruler to cut it, just like so, just like that. Doesn't have to be perfect as long as it covers the entire stitch lines. Let's see here. There we go. And now I'm gonna run it to the machine and do the tack down stitch. Because I'm adding an extra layer of fabric, I am going to increase my embroidery foot height. I think I'll do 2.5 for this one. You play around with it based on your own experience and knowledge of your machine.
Take the hoop off your machine and use sharp scissors to trim the excess felt close to the stitching, being careful not to clip any threads.
The next stitch will be the placement stitch for the bottom of the card pocket. Here is the placement stitch. I'm just gonna trim this little tail there. And you're gonna grab the rest of your, look at my felt, it got so much junk on it, some other fabric. And you're gonna want to move it past this line. So what I do is just go like this and just move it past this line to probably about right there, making sure it's as centered as possible. I will hold it and take it to the machine, and it'll do a placement stitch where it'll start from up here, go down over that placement stitch right there, go up a little bit, and stop. Because I'm adding another layer of fabric, I'm gonna increase my embroidery foot height to probably 3.5. Leave the hoop in the machine and take the fabric and fold it over, and you will see that the stitches on the sides will naturally stop it and put it in place. This is perfect. Again, we have another layer of fabric, and so what I'm gonna do is increase my height to now 4.5. In fact, you could probably go up to 5. Actually, I'm gonna go up to 5. There you go, that's perfect, okay? And now it's going to do the tack down stitch of this fold.
Carefully trim around the edges of the pocket. There are multiple layers here, so take your time. It's normal to feel a bit firm.
The pouch is all done right here, and so now we're ready to do our final stitch, which is the center stitch that goes all around it. But before we do that, we need to attach our back piece to it. So make sure you know what side is the top. So this is the top right here, so we have to make sure that they are the same, or they're matching. Or I'm sorry, going in the same direction. My apologies. So here we go. And then we want this side facing up. And we're just gonna use this piece, we're gonna use these lines right here as a guide to align this back piece up. And we're only gonna put the tape over here. We're not gonna have the tape anywhere around here because this is where the satin stitches will be. So just line it up inside the, just like so, and it fits perfectly. If you use the guide, if you cut it using the tack down stitches, you will be in a good spot. So then just do the 4 corners. Once you turn it over, make sure you can kind of see through. You'll be able to see through your tearaway stabilizer. Make sure that the tape is not around this stitch line right here, because that's where the satin stitch will go. So that looks good, that looks good, that looks good, and that looks good. All right, it's time to take it to the machine and do the final stitch. To start this final stitch, I usually put my embroidery machine to 5.5, but throughout the final stitch, depending on where it is, I will lower or increase the height. On this side of the design, you can see that it only really has 3 layers of fabric. The bottom piece, which is on the other side of the hoop, it has the batting piece, and it has just 1 layer of this felt. Because of that, my embroidery foot does not need to be at 5.5 millimeters. So I'm actually gonna, just when it comes to this side, I'm gonna stop my machine and decrease the embroidery foot height. So you can see it's at 5.5. I'm just gonna bring it down to maybe 3.5 just for that part of that side, and then I'll stop it and readjust the height when it gets to the thicker parts. We are all done with the embroidery machine. So what you're gonna do is take it out of the hoop, and I must have got some of my tape on the hoop. There we go, right there. And what we're gonna do is carefully cut the placement stitch right there. And what we should probably do first is take off the tape. It looks so nice. This is actually a very easy project to do. So don't let any of the steps intimidate you, because it's really easy and kind of a forgiving one. All right, so look how easy this comes off because of the, oh, there's that placement stitch I gotta cut. Snip, there we go. There we go. Comes off so easy, the tearaway stabilizer, because of the satin stitches, they're so dense. Oh, did I not get that one? There you go. There we go, and now we're gonna snip around it.
Use the satin stitches as a cutting guide, leaving about a 1/8 inch seam allowance around the design.
We are all done making this card holder, and I want to talk a little bit about the features. As you can see, I have a little swoop here and a little swoop here, and I did that because I want to make it easy for kids who are both left and right-handed. I have 2 children, and I have 1 left-handed and 1 right-handed child, okay? So what I mean by that is if you were to fold it over, okay, so I am right-handed, so I would hold this in my right hand like this, and I would play this way. My daughter, on the other hand, would be like this, and she would play this way. And so you can also fit up to, I would say comfortably 7 cards. So here is my royal flush, as if I was playing, let's say, poker. And of course that has 5 cards. But you can definitely fit more, so let's add these cards right here. So let's say you're playing a different game that requires 7 cards. In fact, I think you could add more if you wanted to. So these are just a regular plain deck. And 8, 9, I would say 9 comfortably, just like that. Really cool. So this is what the back would look like. And it is so easy because a lot of times little kids, when they first starting to learn to play, they can't fan it out. So really easy, really simple to do. And of course, it is so cool if you personalize it, if you have those capabilities. Thanks for watching. This design is free on my Patreon. Check the link below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more creative fun.